Let's say that there was a motorcycle club. Not a gang or anything, just a bunch of folks with bikes who all rode around together. They don't really cause any trouble, they just like to be with like-minded people. Now suppose a member of that club, maybe a new guy who didn't quite understand what they were about or something, decided to start causing trouble during the club's activities. Let's say this new guy thought it was the Hells Angels, and so he knocks over a liquor store or something during one of the club's rides. Would you say that the club has the responsibility to set the guy straight? Maybe even turn him into the authorities? One of their own is misbehaving, not following the club's rules. They're against robbing stores, and it's their responsibility to do something about it, wouldn't you say? I'd say so. For the stability of their club, and frankly, to avoid the unwanted negative attention of the authorities coming down on all their heads, they really ought to set straight the member of their group that's acting like a complete chowder monkey. Now here's a question. Suppose a guy who isn't a member of that motorcycle club starts robbing convenience stores. Which motorcycle club's responsibility is it to turn the guy in? Oh, sure, if you witness the crime, it's probably not a horrible idea to whip out the old cell phone. But what I'm asking is whose moral or ethical responsibility is it to turn over to the authorities one of their own? Which bike gang gets disgraced because of this biker's behavior? But wait, suppose he doesn't ride a motorcycle at all. The robber isn't part of any bike gang, so it must be that the reputation of all non-bikers gets tarnished. All the people who don't ride a motorcycle are just one big club, right? Right? No, that's ridiculous. Not riding motorbikes is pretty much where everyone just automatically starts out, and not everyone who rides a motorcycle joins a club for it. If a guy who doesn't ride a motorcycle robs a store, no group's reputation gets a black mark because he's not part of a group. He's just some guy. Now let's look at another similar situation. If a religious person commits a crime or an atrocity or starts a war and does so as a direct result of his or her religious beliefs, the people in that same religion really do have a responsibility to tell that person to knock it the heck off. They're affiliated with each other by similar interests, goals, and values, just as that biker club was, and they have a responsibility to police their own, if only to maintain their own reputation and standing. But what about a person who has no religion? I mean, religious folks like to point out Stalin and Mao and such, and say that atheists have a responsibility to police other atheists. But not believing in God is not something which unifies people. Atheism is not a religion, does not produce congregations. The only reason most atheists ever gather or unite is against religious oppression. Now, I'd have wagged a disapproving finger at both Stalin and Mao had I been old enough, or even born yet, at the time that they were around. Not because they were atheists, but because they were misbehaving, treating people poorly. But unlike someone in a religion, someone in a group, I would not feel my own reputation tarnished by those communist leaders simply because we had one attribute, non-belief in God, in common. Because Stalin and Mao are not in my group just for having no religious affiliation or belief. There is nothing about lacking belief which unifies people, just as there is nothing in not riding a motorcycle that puts us in the same group. Atheists have no responsibility to police their own because atheists don't have an own the way religious people do, or the way a motorcycle club does. But religious people keep trying to tell us that we do, to make us take the blame for Stalin and Mao, just as they have to take responsibility for their own terrorists and oppressors. But atheism isn't a religion, and you can't treat it like one. Can't expect it to take collective responsibility as you can religion. Not believing in God only unifies people when the people who do believe in God start making nuisances of themselves. The cases are not equivalent, and that's that. Until next time, don't run on automatic. Please, think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. You might also enjoy my webcomic, The Adventures of Kinneara Baxter. You'll find a link in the info bar. Every time you rate, an angel loses its wings.